Hey everyone, and welcome to the Nostalgia Effect, the podcast where we examine movies from our childhood through the lens of adulthood. It's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and I got my adulthood lens on.
I'm hungry.
Me too. But as always, I'm Amy. We got Joe and Johnny,
Hey.
What's up?
and we're gonna talk about Thanksgiving stuff today.
Yeah, we are.
But
Boop, boop.
also
Or
the
gobble
new
gobble.
Sonic trailer, which at the time of recording just came out, but when this is released, it came out 2 weeks ago.
Oh, time travel.
People will have moved on.
People will have moved on. They'll be talking about the next thing from their childhood that they're upset about.
They'll be upset about the next thing. Now, I think actually people, at least from gauging the reaction online, so, you know, originally there was the first trailer that they released and everybody hated it.
The teeth.
It looked really weird.
Yeah,
it
it
was
was-
off-putting.
It was, yeah, it looked like a naked 8-year-old in a
Yeah.
fursuit. It
was
really
was
freaked me
very
out.
Strange.
Yeah. And it wasn't a good trailer either, if I
No.
remember
It
correctly.
was
Like,
not a good
just-
trailer.
Like, even if Sonic didn't look weird, it was not a good teaser.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they went back. They delayed the film. They redesigned the character.
And changed him in every single scene. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of work that they did in the last,
Oh, yeah.
like, 3 months?
It's been like 3 months.
So I know they did change the release date of the movie, but when was it supposed to come out?
This
year,
month.
like in November.
This month, okay,
This
and
month.
now it's coming out in February. I know. I mean, that's a big change. It was probably costly, but there's a good chance that when the teaser came out, it's not like the movie was done. You know, like they maybe
Yeah.
didn't have to
They
redo
maybe
the
only
movie.
Yeah.
Like
had
they
done
did
the
have to
effects
redo.
for that, just for the trailer.
but I mean, the character
Right.
concept was complete.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
the concept because they had art and they had posters. That was the concept of that character. That's how that character was
Yeah.
going to be designed.
Yeah.
But the reaction was just so.
Shit, I wonder if there were toys.
Um,
Like if there was any sort of tie-in, like
Ooh,
physical
like
tie-in that would
Hasbro
have to
and
be.
stuff
Yeah.
had something.
Wow.
I don't
maybe.
know.
didn't even
I don't.
think
It's
about
probably not Hasbro, but that's just like the first. example.
Well, some
Yeah.
toy maker, yeah. That
Yeah,
would
because
have
they
been.
do those things months in advance.
Yes, they do.
I watched the Star Wars episode of The Toys That Made Us.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
that's
that's-
why they do it months in advance
Yeah.
because of Star Wars and not having enough shit for the
Yeah.
Christmas holiday.
Well, my cousin works for Kohl's, and she saw Frozen 2 like a year ago because she works on kids lines, and she had to like have a rough. I think she said a lot of the stuff was still storyboards.
Yep.
oh,
Yep.
cool.
So she like just so she would have an idea of what her and her team were designing.
Yeah, I knew somebody who worked at Mattel around the time that Batman vs Superman was coming out, and the head person at Mattel got to I don't know if they got to see the movie or be at like a table read or something like that, but they had to go to an advanced thing of the movie so that they could know what toys they were going to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So this thing, it's now coming out in February.
It's not coming out in
It's got a
February.
Is it
new-
February? I thought it was March.
It said February 14th.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
Valentine's
I
Day.
completely I've not been following when this release comes out. I'm
Yeah.
just like when it comes out, it comes out. I'll watch it.
I
probably.
only know because I just watched the trailer.
Yeah.
But
and,
It's been a day
anyways,
since I watched it.
Yeah. and this is the first trailer with the new redesign, right?
Yes,
Yes,
it's
this-
the first
this-
time
it
they
was-
showed anything.
Yeah,
with
it's
it.
the first time they showed. It leaked a little bit. Like
Yeah.
there was like
Yeah.
just some photos or whatever that had leaked online prior to this. But this was like their official rollout of the new redesign. And it looks great.
It's a really good trailer. I think
He
it's
looks like actual Sonic.
there's a lot of personality there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't
a lot of facial expressions.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
like people were comparing like stills.
Yeah.
Especially stills of like the previous Sonic model and the new Sonic model, and it's like how it makes you think like there's these conspiracies online that this was their original plan, like they were gonna.
to stir up like bad vibes,
yeah.
like
To-
poke
to-
the hornet's nest,
pretty much
with a bad design.
I know it's stupid. It's a stupid ass
Yeah.
conspiracy theory,
Yeah.
but they're interesting nonetheless.
I'm looking at a picture of them side by side.
Yeah.
And the old Sonic his nose looks like a Who from Whoville's nose, like in the Jim Carrey Grinch movie.
So
But funnily enough, Jim Carrey's
Jim
in
Carrey.
both movies.
so actually, what I always thought he kind of looked like,
Besides a naked 8-year-old in a fursuit.
yeah, is the kid.
The fact that Joe knows what a naked 8-year-old looks like is very disconcerting.
He
Listen,
was
man,
at one point.
I've lived a life.
8-year-old.
I've lived a life.
I was never naked when I was 8.
But he,
I was
you
a
were-
never
you-
nude.
You were Tobias Bluth.
Tobias
Fugue.
Funke. Get it right.
Yeah, I should know that.
so he reminds me of Peter when he was halfway turned into a monkey in Jumanji.
Yes.
That's
Oh my
who-
god.
Oh, shit,
Yes.
That's
right.
who he looks like
Yes.
to me, and that's why I think I was just doubly freaked out because
Yeah.
it's like this is the live action version of that.
Yeah.
and but I feel like I don't remember much of like Sonic speaking in the original teaser either. I'm
did.
sure he did.
Yeah, he did.
I think
He
there was
a
one point
voiceover.
where he was like, when James Marsden finds him
In
in
the-
the garage
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah,
and
when he
he's like-
screams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
because he had teeth. He had human,
Yeah.
It was so weird.
And what's funny is I feel like so Ben Schwartz, my close personal friend Ben
Mine
Schwartz,
too. Well, kind of.
by
left me-
association with me.
He left me a note.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
But yeah, I mean, he's a super nice guy for anybody who's a fan and is wondering.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like his personality comes through so much better with this character design, and
Yeah.
I think maybe because it's a better trailer too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
But he just seems delightful and fun, and like I want to.
Like I do wonder if he had any part in helping with the redesign.
I had heard that maybe he did.
Well, yeah, because he was. I mean, he's been super excited about
Yeah,
this
he's
project for
he's
a
a
really long time.
Sonic like.
I mean, he's a
Yeah.
big video game fan. He
Yeah.
loves video games.
Yeah.
And so I know he was like super excited, and I got to imagine that the reaction like totally like bummed him out. You
I've-
know?
I've
Because I mean,
got
people,
to, 'cause
I
you
mean, people
do so
online
much
are
work.
fucking assholes.
Yeah, and you do so much work in a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when this thing came out, like you know, he like announced it, and it was like a big thing.
Yeah.
And he was like super excited. You could tell that he just like put a lot of passion and love into this project.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's cool. And then like you know, seeing people's reaction to it online, it's generally positive. Like I saw like a bunch of other comedians or people like being like, "Oh, good job! Like this looks great. I can't
Yeah,
wait."
yeah.
So
That's fantastic because when we were I was shooting his photo for a photo shoot, and he was talking about it when we were working on the shoot, and he mentioned how everybody was gonna. He's like, I know everybody's gonna be super jazzed for it. They're like, I'm really excited. You know, so that's
Yeah.
nice, and and the fact that you say the online response has
yeah,
been positive.
the online it's been mostly positive because it is so much better.
Yeah.
So much
I
better.
mean, I was like the trailer is a lot better, the design is so much better, and I love it a lot. But for me, the trailer just didn't grab me as much. It is funnier, but I'm just like, this feels like a movie for kids.
It does feel like a
does.
kids movie, but I mean, maybe that's fine because I you know, I'm sorry. to
No,
interrupt.
go ahead.
I mean, video game movies aren't great to begin with.
Yeah.
There's not a great track record with that, but like Sonic is fun.
Yeah.
It's just,
I'm
as a
gonna
character.
see, I'm definitely gonna see it. One, because I gotta support my Ben Schwartz guys.
Yeah.
You Schwartz.
But I also
Feel the Schwartz, Amy.
Oh Lord.
that's our second Spaceballs reference today.
What was the first one?
Yesterday Joe and I were
Oh, you guys were having moments without me. That's cool.
no, you were there, you just weren't paying attention.
That sounds right.
It was with the Yoda thing.
Oh yeah, that was pretty great. Johnny was paying attention after a certain point.
Yeah.
Um,
But I don't know where I was going with that. I think it's just I mean, it feels fun. It
Yeah.
feels like Jim Carrey is back to being like Ace Ventura Jim
I
Carrey.
thought that too.
He does feel like he's back to like some really silly.
like once he is
shit.
like Professor Egghead, I think that's his character's name.
Professor Robotnik.
Robotnik. Well, it's Dr.
And it's
Robotnik,
also-
and
yeah.
then it's like Egghead. People were saying Egghead, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But like once he is like turned into that full character and he has like the goggles and stuff on, he felt like Ace Ventura, not like looks, but just
Yeah, but
his.
just in the zaniness,
his
and the
cartoony performance
Yeah.
of
the outlandish
yeah.
cartoonish.
I think he even does like that
over the top.
when he's in the first Ace Ventura when he's in that tutu at the mental hospital.
Yeah.
He did that. He does that weird
Put me in,
walk.
coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that
think he did that walk or something similar to it
Yeah.
in the trailer.
He was prancing.
I was just thinking about Ace Ventura the other day.
It's a great movie.
It's so good, and the second one I remember really
I
enjoying
have when
too.
Nature Calls.
Nature
on
Calls
VHS.
is
Yeah.
really fucking
so
good.
it's so funny. But like when he's like working
rhino?
his way out of the rhino, yeah.
that bit is so good.
And it's like she's not a virgin. They can tell that. But no, because there's that bit where even the guy's like, you want this latte with weird ass milk, and it's like, of course I do. I love the way you make them.
Oh man, I love the old Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind dramatic Jim Carrey because like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
Yeah.
Mind is a
Good. Masterpiece.
favorite of mine.
It's great. But
And yeah,
just like that is what I grew up on, were those old Jim Carrey movies. The
Yeah.
old Jim Carrey and the old Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah.
I love those movies.
yeah.
Both really good dramatic actors.
So yeah, surprisingly, actually,
I'm
I prefer
interested to see Adam
Sandler
Sandler's
as a
new
dramatic actor.
Oh,
his new
that the
movie.
new
The
A24
Diamond
movie.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that looks really fucking good.
I have not seen this trailer
It's insane. It's
or even heard of this movie.
Yeah.
It's called. Oh wait, shit! I forgot.
I don't remember, but I know it's an A24, so you know
It's an
gonna be good.
A24 Sadifi brothers. They made. I think they made that Robert Pattinson one. That's
Not the Lighthouse.
no. That's
Oh,
Eggers
the
or
air,
whatever.
the space one.
No. Good Times, I think it's called.
This is one where he's like a rich guy.
No, that's a different one.
Oh.
It's another like indie. It's like him, and he's got to like protect his like brother or something. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's really
yeah,
good.
and one of the Safdie brothers plays his brother.
Yeah. And people like when Robert Pattinson got cast
Uncut Gems.
as Uncut Gems. That's the Adam Sandler movie.
Oh, okay.
I
I have heard of that, but
yes.
I didn't know who was in it.
Adam Sandler, Sadifi brothers. But when Pattinson got announced for Batman,
Yeah,
a bunch of people were like, "Oh, this movie like."
is responsible for that.
Not even responsible, but just like this movie gives you an inclination of like how good he can be as that character. And so I've definitely been. It's on the list. I've been meaning to watch it.
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to watch it for a while too.
Yeah, but that the Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, I
also
saw the
very
trailer
good.
for the first time a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. It's coming out on Christmas.
Yeah, and I've read not reviews of the movie itself, but reviews of that performance of Adam Sandler specifically, and they're like, it's really fucking good.
I think it's a Amazon Studios one, maybe.
I don't know, could be. I mean, it's a small little indie flick.
Yeah.
They did a movie. The Sadifi brothers did or Safdie.
Safdie.
Safdie. Safdie.
I don't know.
Anyway, they did a movie called Daddy Longlegs, which only makes me think of that. Have you seen that series of memes of like God naming stuff, or, like
No.
scientists naming stuff, and they're like, "How about this thing, long legs?" And he goes, "Not kinky enough."
I have seen that one actually.
Oh yeah, I think you showed that to me.
Yeah. Interesting. These guys have some.
It's a Netflix. It's a Netflix movie.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. A24
Interesting.
and Netflix.
One of these guys really needs a haircut. Look at that. Like, what is that?
Joe, you sound like
great
my
radio.
father. He's like, this guy needs a haircut.
He does need a haircut.
Yeah, hippie.
This guy needs a haircut for sure. Well, anyway, I'm gonna check out this trailer, and then maybe we'll do another talking trailers.
Yeah.
After I've seen this one,
Catch us in 2 weeks when we talk about Uncut Gems.
which will now be like a month old by the time that you listen to.
Oh no,
this.
Uncut Gems trailer came out like 2 months ago.
It did
Oh
come out
my
a while
god,
ago.
I am. Well, that sounds about right.
Lagging
Takes
it.
2 months to get to me.
But anyways,
Yeah.
want to talk about the movie that we're going to talk about today?
Yes, I do want to talk about the movie we're going to talk about.
It's a movie
I
that I don't
actually
think any
don't.
of us have seen it.
No, that's true.
Yes.
Which
It's-
I don't think I said. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is the movie that we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Boom. There it is.
There it is.
None of us have seen it, which is, I think, only the second time none of us have seen.
Yeah, what was the first one?
It was Dark Crystal.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
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 That's right.
Yeah, it took me a while to remember that too. When I was like, "Oh, this is our first one," I was like, "No, wait, there's been one other one," and
Yeah,
I had to
right.
go back and through and be like, "Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right."
And this was kind of a last minute idea.
Yeah,
that
we
ended
were
up
going
being
to do
perfect.
something totally different.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean because it is like there's not a lot of Thanksgiving movies.
No,
right?
there's
Like
not.
Thanksgiving themed
Yeah,
movies.
yeah, not really. It's always
like
Christmas or Halloween.
Yeah. So I mean, every Thanksgiving kind of gets shit on as a holiday in just terms of being less important than
Right.
It's sandwiched in between
Two of
Halloween
the best holidays in
and
the world.
Ever. Yeah.
and Christmas, the ones that people really love.
Yeah.
And I could honestly see somebody who maybe wasn't paying attention very closely misremembering this as a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
Because it's really like a holiday travel movie.
The only reason I know that this is a Thanksgiving movie is because my mom always called it a Thanksgiving movie,
Yeah.
and my mom was the one that was always like, "You need to watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
We need to watch this like together."
Yeah.
And she always says that in the car when she's trying to take a jacket off. Because apparently that's a scene in this movie.
Oh yeah. Well,
She's
that's
always
funny.
like, every time she's like, "We gotta watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles," and we never do.
And you
She's
never
like,
do.
she's like, I can see her. She's like struggling with her jacket. She's like, you need to see this movie so you can understand this.
So you could
reference."
understand.
That's
Because
so
that's how
funny.
mom sounds.
'Cause, yeah.
So what about you guys? What is your experience with this movie, having never seen it?
I had only heard of it. I mean, obviously, John Candy, the great, late,
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
who I've also met.
You're lucky. John Hughes movie.
See, I didn't know it was a John Hughes movie.
Yeah, I didn't know that either
Until-
like, I
Yeah.
was getting ready to watch it, like this episode.
Yeah. So I didn't know that. I just knew that it was John Candy and Steve Martin. I love. Every time I think about John Candy, I think of Uncle Buck.
Yeah.
As a lot of people do, especially
Yeah.
my age. So I'm like, oh yeah, John Candy. Like, he's fucking great.
Yeah.
He is.
And
Was.
I've heard this movie is really good. So those are I just knew it was a Thanksgiving movie. Those two guys, and it's really good. And I've just never watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were like, fuck this movie.
Well, it was definitely like, even when you brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's a classic movie that's big and people like, especially around this holiday. Like even when we talked to a couple of people about like, oh, what's the movie? I talked to Antonio, and then even when we talked to Rashad,
Yeah.
he was like, oh, I love that movie, and then everyone loves it. Everyone who's seen it
everyone
loves
who
it.
is, yeah. I've talked to about it and told they're like, oh, I love it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. So expectations are high.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie, I think for me, was a movie that I was aware of, but I wasn't aware what was from it. You know how you can, it's like,
Yeah.
I know this movie has this line or this scene
This
or like
thing,
these,
yeah.
and I didn't know what was from this movie.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually kind of curious to see when we watch it, if I'll be like,
Oh, that's where
that's where this
from.
comes from. Yeah.
Well, and it's like, I think John Candy in Home Alone, his cameo in Home Alone, is his character in this or something like that? Or was it the Uncle Buck character?
Well, no, because Uncle Buck is way different than.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's always, like, somebody's, like,
So
there's, like, a connection between this one and Home Alone.
the Hughes
really?
verse, so to speak. Well, so what's funny is Sarah was originally she was gonna watch it with me, and then she had
She bailed.
She bailed. She did.
She was like, I got better things to do.
She did, and then she left. But
Forever?
she.
Jesus, that got dark real quick.
But yes.
But yes.
Yeah, so she thought, she was like, oh, this is the one where he's in like the back of the U-Haul, and I was like, no, that's Home Alone, and she was like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm looking
Had
at it
Sarah
here.
seen
Gus
this
Gus
movie?
Polinski.
Had Sarah seen this movie?
She had seen parts of it.
Okay.
It says Gus Polinski, which doesn't seem to be a character that is in any other
Well, I don't
films.
think he was quite cast or credited as this character as Gus in Home Alone. I think he was just a guy in the back of U-Haul or whatever in Home Alone. But people say like that in the John Hughes verse because there's always like a crossover cameo between all like most of his films
Sure.
of different characters.
I didn't know that. I don't know a lot about John Hughes. I've seen.
He works with a lot of the same people.
He
like
worked.
he has like 3
Yeah.
Molly Ringwald movies.
Yeah, I know that much.
and-
I know like all the Molly Ringwald stuff is him.
So, well, see, the
most
thing
part.
is I feel like even so he did directing wise, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Weird Science, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, She's Having a Baby, Uncle Buck, and Curly Sue. And I've seen, I feel like half of those movies I've seen.
Yeah.
I've seen
and then,
2.
And then in terms of like, and then he's written a ton of stuff. He did Mr. Mom, which Shout Factory put
Yeah.
out on Blu-ray. I shot the interviews on that one, just, whatever.
Just saying, humble brag.
And then he also did 16 Candles, Breakfast Club. He did National Lampoon's European Vacation.
He wrote that.
And Christmas Vacation, which is one of Sarah's like all her
I love
she and
Christmas
her family's
Vacation.
like
That was actually a request for us to do that.
Really?
yeah, that's one of Sarah's like her family's favorite holiday movie. And he
You don't
did
like Christmas.
Pretty in
I
Pink.
know, I don't, but I've seen that movie. I
He
like
did
it.
Great
Yeah.
Outdoors, which is a favorite of mine. If you haven't seen it, John
No.
Candy and Dan Aykroyd, Annette Bening. It's
Ooh.
very good. It's
Yeah.
very funny. And then he also wrote Home Alone.
Okay.
John Hughes.
Yeah.
He also wrote Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Makes
he wrote
sense.
Beethoven. Apparently under a nom de plume, Edmond Dantes. He also did like the remake of Miracle on 34. He wrote it, Miracle on 34th Street. He did the 101 Dalmatians live action film.
Wait, he wrote that
Flubber.
one?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He wrote Flubber!
Flubber's on Disney Plus.
Flubber's on the list.
And
Flubber.
I know, but it's on Disney
he
Plus.
came up with a
Oh,
story
sweet.
for
I
Drill.
forgot Flubber existed. I'm sorry, Joe.
It's okay. He did the story for Drillbit Taylor, the one with.
I know Drillbit Taylor.
Yeah. And
You got a story credit for that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And yeah.
Is he still alive?
No, he's dead.
That's what I thought.
He died a while ago, 2009.
Okay.
10 years.
Oh, wow.
August 2009.
Nice. All right. Well, he's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff.
I know, but what I'm saying is like I've seen Breakfast Club and Uncle Buck. and that's about it.
But he was,
16 Candles?
Nope.
I
Really?
love 16 Candles.
Yeah, but why would I watch 16 Candles?
I have not seen either Breakfast Club or 16 Candles.
And I only watched The Breakfast Club because we watched it in a class, like
I guess
not even a
that's
film
very-
class. It was like a
I feel like a lot. You haven't seen Ferris Bueller?
Wow. That one's a surprise.
I feel like
Eh.
John Hughes made movies for
White
me.
people.
like
What?
for
Oh.
girls, like for
I mean, he did.
like,
That's
white
my main
girls,
complaint
yeah.
about
like
not even complaint.
teenage white girls in the 90s.
I don't know about
80s
and
white
90s.
girls, but white people.
White people for
I
sure.
think is true.
Yeah. So it's just why
never,
none
like-
of these movies ever like I never
it through to you.
Yeah, except Uncle Buck because it was on Disney Channel a lot.
But even not Home Alone. Home Alone didn't make it to you.
It's
I did.
Christmas movie.
No, I remember seeing Home Alone, but like I
It's
don't
Die
have.
Hard with a child at Christmas.
True.
It's Die Hard.
Yeah.
It is exactly that.
And it's got Joe Pesci.
It does have Joe
It's
Pesci
got-
and Daniel Stern, who I've also met.
Joe, is
Jesus.
this just going to be an episode of you listing every single person
Just
you've ever
bragging.
met?
Well, now that you ask, we get out my list here.
But anyways, yeah. So that's my at least insight into what this movie is.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Again,
excited too.
High expectations. So
I'm worried though, only because there have been a few movies that are like comedy classics.
They
that
just
are
don't
required
resonate?
Viewing. Yeah, Groundhog. No, not
Groundhog?
I love
I was-
Groundhog Day. No,
I was about to punch you in the face.
I know, but you might still hit me in the face. Caddyshack.
I've never seen Caddyshack.
I haven't seen it all the way, even though my dad was like, you should watch this movie, not realizing it's rated R.
With a lot of reasons why it's
Yeah.
rated R.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is like with Caddyshack, there's no story, and I mean, and
Yeah.
like they're open about it. It's not like
Yeah.
anybody's trying to hide that fact, but there's no story. I didn't care for really any of it. And I think like Animal House. Granted, I maybe saw it when I was too young, but I didn't really love Animal House.
I don't think I've seen all of Animal
I've never
House.
seen Animal House.
I remember one scene on a stairway in a frat house, and that's it.
Oh,
Yeah, where he
with
smashes the guitar.
which is funny. I
It
mean,
is a
maybe
funny
I would
bit.
enjoy it now, but when I saw it when I was younger, I was like, eh.
Yeah.
I
gotcha.
I mean, I love Stripes. I don't love National Lampoon Vacation, the original. So there's like some comedy classics that I don't love.
Yeah.
That and
So
so I'm
you're-
kind of worried that this might
You're like,
fall
ugh.
into that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I have only the fuzziest memories of Uncle Buck. I remember like the thing with the screw gun, the drill, and he comes in and like I remember those things.
Yeah.
And then Macaulay Culkin
Yeah.
is in it. I vaguely remember that, but I don't remember much.
You
of
know
it.
what? I don't think I've seen it.
Oh wow, it's great. It's I don't know. There's a scene where they're going back and forth. He's like, "Why aren't you married?" He's like, "I don't want it." And
Oh, yeah.
There's that bit where
Yeah,
I forget the lines exactly. But it's just like it's question and response, like a back and forth between
Yeah.
the two of them, and it's really fucking
And
good.
it's like Dragnet. It's like an old episode of Dragnet. It's just
Yeah.
like he's grilling this.
Yeah.
The kid is grilling this
Yeah,
man.
he's like, "So, what's going on?" Here?
All right, well, I'm ready to watch this thing.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Do it.
And now, our feature presentation.
So, what'd you guys think?
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
It's enjoyable.
It's great. I found myself laughing a lot more than I thought it would. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of like jokes, like in
No,
terms
it's
of like
not like
written
straight
jokes.
up jokes.
It's
It's
not
like it's very physical comedy.
it's physical. It's the uncomfortableness, I suppose.
Yeah.
The awkwardness of situations.
It is awkward comedy,
Um,
like The Office or something.
yeah,
They're
it's
just
cringe
"Oh,
comedy.
You cringe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But-
I thought it's good.
yeah,
I really
my
liked it.
my first note on this is, why did my mom of all people want to watch this movie with me? And I asked her that. I texted her. I was like, did you know that there's a scene in this where they say fuck like a million times?
Yeah.
She's like, I don't remember that.
That's so funny. I was like, there's a scene where they're looking at tits. Like,
Oh, yeah.
in the cab,
Yeah.
the crazy, it's like tricked out cab.
Yeah.
There's just a bunch of like pictures of naked ladies on the ceiling. And you told me that your mom told you about was all about
Yeah.
this movie. I'm like, that's funny, considering everything you've told us
Yes.
about your
Yeah.
childhood.
I asked my mom, I'm like, why? Why?
Yeah, and that fuck scene is like,
It's great.
I have a fun
It's
fact
so
about
good.
that. Do you guys want to hear it now or do you guys want to wait?
no,
let's hear it
now.
now.
Okay, so the marathon car rental scene is exactly 1 minute long.
Yeah.
From the time Steve Martin starts his tirade to the time the attendant ends the scene. In those 60 seconds, can you guess how many times the word fucking is used?
35.
67.
No. Only 18.
Really?
Yeah.
Feels feels so
It
much
feels like
weightier.
so much more, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I should go back and count. But it's the only time that word is used in the entire movie.
Yeah, that's, I definitely
Yeah.
I definitely noticed that. What is this movie rated?
I think it's
R.
got to be R.
It was
Yeah.
PG-13 until that scene.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I feel like there was another movie that your mom and both
Grease.
your mom and your dad. Oh yeah, Grease.
Grease.
Yeah. And we were just like,
We were like, that's weird.
yeah.
So explain that, Mom, because I know you may be listening.
I know you're maybe listening. So
I don't know if you learned how to work Apple Podcasts.
But I love this movie, and I think what it is it's essentially because when it starts, the way the titles come up and everything, it was like, oh, this almost feels like a drama.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like you said, it's not like a jokey comedy. It's more situational. It's more
It
cringy.
starts out a little bit like Hook.
It does, and I thought that too. And it just there was something about it that kind of felt like it wasn't trying to be a comedy; it was trying to be something else, and happened to have comedy in it, which actually
Yeah.
I really like. And,
Oh yeah,
'cause I've talked to
it felt very heartwarming.
Yeah, it
it
did.
felt like a heartwarming,
It really
nice
did.
little holiday movie.
it felt like that at the end.
without being
Yeah.
gushy, though.
Without being
Yeah.
gushy,
Yeah.
which I liked. It didn't feel like that way throughout, which I also kind of liked.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't.
Yeah.
I did know that it was somebody had described it as like sweet and like heartwarming.
Yeah.
Like something at the end, and like I think I knew already that his wife was dead.
Yeah,
Spoilers.
I think. I mean, we're in the part where we're talking about the movie, Joe.
Listener, if you haven't watched it,
Also,
is not
if you
the
haven't
thing
watched
to
the
listen to
movie,
before
why
you-
are you listening to us talk about the movie?
yeah,
Yeah.
where's the joy in that?
I don't know. I guess. Well, I mean,
I guess
people-
some people just like to have things spoiled.
that's true.
But yeah, I think I had heard that too.
Yeah, and so like
then,
I was going into it with that
Yeah,
mentality.
and then
sort of.
when he was sitting out in the car, and like when John
Talking?
Candy was sitting,
Yeah.
and like
That's
Steve
so
Martin
sweet.
sees him sitting out there, and he's like talking like up to the moon and stuff. I was like, oh wait, that's
Yeah.
right, his wife's dead.
Yeah.
See, and it's funny because thankfully it had not been spoiled for me, so I had some
Did
sense.
you realize
some
it was
inkling.
Steve Martin on the train in Chicago?
I think I at that point I was like that was a confirmation of a suspicion I had.
When? What? I'm sorry, I
when
missed it.
Steve Martin was
Steve
sort of
Martin realizes on the train.
Oh, when he's-
in
when he's
Chicago,
thinking back
yeah.
about
working
everything,
through it,
yeah.
because there were a couple points where I was like, huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at that point I was like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I at that point I was like, oh, this movie, because the movie, it's not heartwarming throughout, but there are moments of
Yeah, they're
heartwarming
really nice, genuine
Yeah.
moments where
before
they're,
it really sticks. That
especially
landing
when
at
they're
the end.
at the very end when they're like
With his
finally.
family.
No, not at the very end. I'm sorry, right before the very end
When they're like right before they like get
leave.
back in the burn
yeah,
car.
when they share the hotel room.
Yeah,
and it's
when
like
they're actually
when
together,
they're friends.
really
yeah.
for the first time.
Yeah. That's such a sweet scene. I love that.
It is.
Scene.
It's so great. It's just like I feel like I'm at camp.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
And then
I
it's
loved
like-
watching their friendship grow.
Oh,
yeah.
From like when they're like still in the diner and they're fighting about like the other taking their money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, well, and I like that too because the way that friendship grew was not, and we're immediately friends or we're friends for the rest of
Yeah.
the film. It was, and like, oh, we're really butting heads. There's a lot of friction,
Yeah.
and then actually no, we're good.
We're
like when
good.
they're
Yeah.
they both get on the truck.
Oh,
that-
the guy's son to come pick him up. And
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
He's like, help him with the bag, and she puts the baby down.
her first baby come out sideways. She didn't
Sideways.
say a beep. But like that's the first time they're together, like as a
Yeah.
unit,
Yeah.
suffering together, and so I was like, oh, this is nice. And then they have the falling out again, and I was like, oh, good. Like this is.
I loved the car adjustment seat, like the seat.
Oh, and he's
And he's just like moving up and forth, and then they're like just arguing like an old married couple, and
Yeah.
then Steve Martin like, gets in that side and he just like smashes his face out.
yeah.
it's pretty good.
It's like you broke it. It's like, well, yeah. Oh, that was so good.
I love another favorite, maybe my favorite bit is the first night when they share the bed and they wake up and he like kisses his ear and he's like, "Why'd you kiss my ear?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Why are you holding my hand?" And they're like, "Ugh!"
It's like-
He's like,
and then
"What?"
why is your hand between two pillows?
Yeah, those aren't pillows. And then immediately he's like, "Did you catch the Bears game last night?" He's like, "Yep."
And then just like you
And
see him
there's-
like puffing him like.
Yeah. They're like, "Oh, puffing themselves."
Oh, that was so good.
And oh my god, when he goes into the bathroom and starts like washing his face, and then it looks down into the
Oh, the
sink,
sink
and
with
it's
his
the socks.
socks.
I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna. Oh.
And then he like cleans his face with his underwear.
Yeah.
I do say this whole movie, the entire thing, the thing that I was thinking throughout the entire movie was like, fuck, it must really have sucked to live in the 80s.
And I have that note. I was like, can you imagine? Traveling in the 80s and having to like wait at the payphone to call somebody?
Oh my God.
Like just call around hotels, like find the numbers, call them, hope that there's a room open.
Yeah.
And I was like, no wonder travel agents existed,
Yeah.
and why they don't really now
Now,
for the most
Yeah,
part.
because you got Expedia.
Yeah.
Not
I
a
mean,
sponsor.
you
You
just
can
have your
do-
fucking phone. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
You can do all your own work right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
No, I thought the same
That
thing.
was
I
immediately my thought. I was like, ugh.
And the thing is, I remember having to like call the movie theater to find out the movie times. You know, and
fucking old
I would look in the
man.
newspaper.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what I did during movie times.
But no, I thought exactly that same thing.
Yeah, we used to fly to Florida a lot when I was younger, and I always remember like the paper tickets. Like we don't get paper tickets that much anymore. I usually use my
On the phone, yeah.
Like if I go, well, actually I do get paper tickets now because I check a bag in Luna.
Yeah.
So I get a paper ticket along with my receipt for like a pet fee.
Yeah.
But like coming back, they don't usually at Indianapolis give me a ticket. And it's like, it's so weird. I remember having the paper tickets and
Yeah.
like checking your bags and them having to like go into the computer and put your code in on your ticket or whatever.
Or that the people who were taking you to the airport could walk you all the way up to the
Yes.
the Skyway,
Yeah.
like all of that. And I was like, oh yeah, is it? Because I remember
like you
pre
feel-
9/11
Or in like
air
all
travel.
those rom-com movies where they're just running through the airport.
Yeah, now you get tackled.
Yeah.
If you're running through
They,
the
they
airport.
do that in tropes now too. Like that's a trope in rom-coms now.
Oh yeah.
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 You don't watch rom-coms.
In a couple that I have seen, modern rom-coms post 9/11, the few that I have an airport scene.
Very select few.
Yeah. But there were. And I also felt like this movie did a really nice job of creating all these these wacky side characters, like the guy's son who picks her up.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
he's chewing the tobacco.
He
and
just
he's like,
keeps like, I love it. He
He's, like,
spits,
staring at them.
he wipes his mouth,
Yeah, and then he goes to shake his
and he
hand.
goes to shake his hand, and you see Steve Martin like shake his hand, and immediately he's just like, oh, he makes a face like, oh fuck.
It was so good. I feel like we couldn't see Martin's face, but I swear to God, I think he was like breaking or something because
yeah.
he was just like, you know, like that was so good. And I do wonder, did you guys, and maybe Amy, this is in your fun facts. I did not look. I did no research on this film, but that house, the exterior of that house is Kevin McAllister's house,
Nope.
isn't it?
It's not, but that is a fun fact. I said that exact same thing.
Yeah.
I said, is that the same as the Home Alone house?
It looks like
And
it.
this is the fact. The house used as the Neal's family home is actually in Kenilworth, Illinois on Warwick. The house used in the Home Alone was on Lincoln Avenue in Winnetka. Winnetka, one town over.
Wow. It looks
They
like
look
the same damn house.
identical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I saw that, I was like, all I could think is like, there should be a pizza man running around the side. You know,
Yeah.
keep the change, you filthy animal.
But I think there was a fun fact in here about the house was built for the movie and it has like 5 rooms and it costs like $100,000.
What?
That's nothing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's the 80s,
I could
baby.
go buy that.
Yeah,
80s.
Neal's house was also a set built from scratch consisting of 7 rooms and taking 5 months to complete. It ended up costing $100,000, which angered Paramount executives and caused turmoil on the set.
So, but it's not a real house, or is it a real house like still to this day?
I'm not sure. There's no. Let's look it up.
Because a lot of times,
seems like a lot. I mean, when you shoot
Yeah.
an exterior and then you shoot an, an
right,
interior.
and a lot of times with they're you know, essentially like a set house. It's a shell.
Yeah,
with
it's-
nothing inside.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Classic colonial house from planes, trains, and automobiles. The classic red brick house is the one that Steve Martin's character Neal owned in the John Hughes comedy. He spent most of the movie trying to get back. The house was Kenilworth, Illinois. It is on the market for $1.799 million.
I can't afford that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's a hell of a thing though. $100,000 in 1987
Yeah, and
to
it's
1.7
in Illinois.
in Illinois.
Yeah.
But it is very nice. It is a
It
nice
is-
house.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean-
huge.
TBH. That's what most houses look like in suburban.
Do you say TBH?
Yes.
Good.
Tuberculosis.
Okay, boomer.
Human.
You're older than me.
To be honest, it is a very basic middle class.
That's a basic bitch house.
Yeah, it's a
Fucking
basic
basic
middle
bitch house.
class house in the Midwest.
Is it really?
Yeah. That's what my parents' house looks like.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, yeah.
It just doesn't have that side garage area. It's literally
it's
my
big.
parents' house is a rectangle.
They got a lot of space
They
out
do
there.
have a lot of space out there, and I know, but it still seems like
It has
a
an
nicer
extra, like,
version of a
The
common
extra
house.
story with the windows and
Yeah.
the roof like that.
Yeah.
We don't have that. That's an attic,
Yeah.
but we do. It's like it's a very standard house.
Wow, it just seems like even so, because I know houses are bigger out east and north, but it just because I guess when it's so cold and snowy, you need like a bigger house to have room to
Yeah,
move around.
and like the brick, I think, is also like a Midwestern thing.
Yeah, we don't have it here for
because
earthquake
it adds more
purposes.
insulation to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it still seems like a nice house. But I guess
I mean it's a nice house.
Yeah.
She's seen nicer houses.
It's an up. Yeah,
She's been kicked out of nicer houses than that.
it's a middle to upper middle class house.
wow,
I mean, yeah, makes sense.
you could buy a shack for 1.7 in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Did
Like,
anybody
literally
get-
You can go buy a trailer in Malibu for that much.
Very true. Did anybody get thrown out immediately when you saw Kevin Bacon?
Yes.
I did. I was
No,
like,
literally,
my
was
first
like-
note.
my first note is Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, with an exclamation point.
Kevin Bacon in all capital letters, question mark, exclamation point.
I was like, Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
I think I was like texting my mom, like middle of texting my mom, and then I just dropped my phone like Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. Slightly less noteworthy, not cameo, but actor in there. The clerk at the hotel where they crashed the car into.
Yeah, that's
Donald Gennaro from Jurassic Park.
Yeah. That was like
Oh,
the guy from
really?
Jurassic
That
Park. I
actor.
knew he was
Yeah.
the lawyer.
Yeah.
The blood-sucking lawyer.
He was the blood-sucking lawyer.
But fun fact about Kevin Bacon. The movie She's Having a Baby is showing on the television in the motel scene. And even though the film hadn't been released yet, both pictures feature Kevin Bacon and John Candy in them. Bacon stars in She's Having a Baby and cameos in Planes, Trains, while Candy cameos in She's Having a Baby and stars in Planes, Trains.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's really good. I did really love how sweet and sincere John Candy's character was.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love him.
I love the first night
he's
where
such a
he's
good
like,
guy.
I like me, like people
Oh,
like
God.
my
Yeah.
customers
That
like
was-
me, my wife likes me, like yo. Like,
That was brutal and so
really
was.
sad.
it was
It was like hard
because
to
you could see. Oh,
like,
he was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
like,
Yeah.
like yes, he's a slob, and
Yeah.
he's like
He
smokes.
makes himself too comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, that scene, like, I would have probably done the same thing if
Yeah.
I had been Steve Martin in that
Yeah.
position, trying to fall asleep, and he's just sitting there hawking a loogie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I like about this movie is that you relate to Steve Martin. I think everyone does because you've been put in this situations,
Through so much.
and he's not like a bad guy.
No.
you know?
No.
But he's tired.
Neither
and
of
he's
them,
so old.
neither of
He's-
them are bad guys
No,
in
no.
any way at all.
He's tired. He's a little petty. He's like
a little elitist in the whole
Yeah.
thing where
Yeah.
he's like, I want my first class seat.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he also
He's
paid
upper-
for a first
he's
class seat.
upper
He did.
middle class Midwest.
Yeah.
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 He wants that seat.
But true. And he did pay for it, but at the same time, it's like, you got on the plane.
Yeah.
Just-
Yeah,
You're
it's-
on the plane, dude.
Yeah.
I do love like when they're in the airport and he like sees John Candy across from him,
Yeah.
and then he's like he realizes, and you just see John Candy
Yeah.
waving from the
He's like, do I
cab.
know you from somewhere? I feel like I know you.
Yeah, and it's just like the cab door superimposed over him in the middle of the airport lounge.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my god, that's a great bit.
They
Yeah.
do. I did like. They have some really great like inserts, like insert shots when like he's like thinking about something or like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it or describe it, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like the way that the scene is cut. I thought I liked it a lot. I wasn't expecting that. Maybe that level of craft. From the movie because I was like, it's just a simple movie. But then again, I didn't know it was John Hughes. So I
Yeah.
was like,
Right.
then it made a little bit more sense.
Well, and so that's actually something that I wrote down here because one of the things that I feel like in general American comedies have is
No craft.
no craft. They're lightly edited improv
Yeah.
a lot of times, and especially now, and it's something that really really bothers me.
Female Ghostbusters.
Anything by Paul Feig, really. Although I did love Spy, and I will
Yeah.
I will die.
I've
on
heard
that
Spy
hill.
Did
is
you
really
watch
good.
his new one with Anna Kendrick? and Blake Lively.
I did see that film.
Simple Favor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really, really liked it up until the last 10 minutes, and the
twist.
movie just unspools, and it becomes
What a
it's
twist.
Like, yeah, and
I
It
haven't
was
seen
like
it.
5 twists. It was like twist after twist after twist.
and it was
very
like,
twisty.
and then there was like all of a sudden, like they were just playing everything for comedy. Until that point, it was like a really taut, interesting thriller
Yeah.
that I was totally on board for. And then at the very end, it just like pissed it all away,
Yeah.
all the goodwill. I was really upset because I really,
really
liked
liked
that movie until that point.
Harry Golding.
Amy, down girl.
No, his character. I really liked his character. He had a good twist.
She
at the
watches
end.
it
Yeah.
for the plot, okay?
Yeah, just for the plot and not for Anna Kendrick.
Well,
That was
like
me.
the way you watch.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that was me.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say no.
And Blake Lively too, though.
Also wouldn't say no. It's not polite. But what I was
not
going to say
polite.
is that there's a lot of so they're lightly edited improv. Bridesmaids, I think, is actually a really good example of that. As much as that's a good movie, there's
Yeah,
no
it-
visual
it's
craft.
It's a bunch of comedians.
It could
Yeah.
be a radio program, and your appreciation
there's-
of the comedy wouldn't be.
That's true.
I
Yeah,
think
you would,
there's
so you
only,
would get
like,
the same
one-
thing out
Yeah,
of it.
There's
there's-
only one real visual gag within Bridesmaids, and it's that scene on the plane where Kristen Wiig's drunk.
You're right, exactly.
Or Maya Rudolph's pooping in the middle of the street.
Yeah, essentially, yeah,
Yeah.
really, and that's it. And there and I think that the whole point is that like you've got all of this visual, equipment. There's a camera there.
Yeah.
Use the camera to tell jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Use the and so that bit when they walk into the room with the single bed and they're like and then they keep like looking at it and then it keeps like it whips pans and then they keep like trying to talk and it keeps whip panning
Yeah.
whip panning
Yeah.
to the thing. It's like that was hilarious. And that
was
was
really
really
good.
good.
Yeah.
And then also like same thing when they're driving the rental car through those two trucks.
Oh,
going
yeah,
the
that
wrong
bit was
way,
really
and they
good.
turn into like
And they're
skeletons.
trying-
Yeah.
You know,
The
That- I
guy,
thought
the,
that was
the
so
couple
good.
on the other side, they're like, "You're going the wrong way," and then John
Yeah.
Candy's like doing the drink.
yeah. It's like there were so many visual gags in this
There was,
movie,
yeah.
and I thought that was fantastic. And like little subtle clues about things, like when he trips over the trunk.
Yeah,
you
at the
know,
beginning.
Yeah. Or even just the very, very beginning that I didn't clock it, but that whole silent scene where they're all sitting there waiting
Yeah,
for
waiting-
this guy to speak. And at first I was like, is my audio on? And it was just
I
hilarious.
was also just I was like, oh, this is going on for too long. I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
brilliant. It was so good. And then you think he's going to speak and they're like,
Yeah, and they're just everyone leans in.
Yeah.
and it's the wide, and it's just
Yeah.
it's the wide of him, and everyone just leans in.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then he's like,
Yeah.
he just
Oh,
puts-
man! Never
did you-
underestimate the power of silence.
Apparently, it says after the credits, Neil's boss is still at his desk analyzing the ads. His Thanksgiving dinner sitting on the table. I didn't watch all the way.
Me
to the
neither.
So
credits.
I was gonna, and as the credits were rolling, Sarah came home,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was helping her with something. I was talking to her, and then I had this feeling. There was a disturbance in the force.
well,
like
it's
I know
like
there's
the
a
Ferris Bueller thing.
yeah,
Like,
which is so you've not seen Ferris Bueller, but at the end of
You know-
Deadpool when he comes out
Oh,
in the
yeah.
bathrobe and he's like, "You're still here? What are you doing? Go home. The movie's over."
it's
yeah.
a literal
That's-
rip
that's
off of
Ferris Bueller does
I
the same
think I
thing.
remember seeing
Yeah.
saying something like that.
Yeah,
Like it's a shot-for-shot remake of Ferris Bueller, just with Deadpool instead of
yeah.
Matthew Broderick.
Gotcha.
I do have a question.
Yes.
How much do you think they spent in this movie? I know they say amounts at certain different
Oh.
times, but I'm like they had to have spent so much money.
Does this count the complete loss of the rental car?
Yeah, and all the money that was stolen.
Okay, so let's say the car in 1987 money.
Also,
was a
I was
Chrysler
thinking like,
four-door.
Jesus Christ, the motel door is just like a regular door. And I
Yeah.
was like, what is this? This is 1987 when
Oh,
they
when he pops it
when
open.
he
Yeah.
pops it
Yeah,
open.
yeah.
I was like,
I'm
that's
like,
not right.
that's my apartment door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, that's not right.
Yeah,
I was like, 1987 sucked.
yeah, it did. Okay, so I'm gonna say that car was probably like 17,000. You know, because I feel like.
But did
cars
he
are more
get the
expensive now.
insurance?
I bet he declined it.
Yeah.
Even though
Well-
automatically you should have it on your credit card, but maybe that wasn't the case back then. But I'm gonna
Yeah,
say
I
that
think
the
that's
car
a newer thing.
was 17. Oh god, it's so hard because 1987 money.
Mm-hmm.
Our prices are so different. Because it'd be like even a crummy
Like
motel
a plane
like that.
ticket, like buying his plane ticket.
Yeah, yeah, or the train ticket. And
Yeah.
then like, was that refunded? Does that count in our math?
Yeah.
And then
Like, does he get that difference, quote unquote, of the first class seat to the regular seat?
Right.
That the stewardess said, even though like they didn't end up
Right.
like going to their destination.
right. I mean, I'm guessing
Like, I feel like that ticket was $68. I don't know why that money, like, that exact number is popping in my head. I'm like, $68 sounds like a
Well-
ticket from New York to Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause, yeah, from New York to Chicago. But the thing is it was 2 days before Thanksgiving, which would make it like higher demand, which makes it more expensive, right?
Yeah, so, like, 90.
They spent $1 million.
Because, like, I know tickets from LAX to Indianapolis, like, around Christmas time, are, like, $160, give
Really?
or take.
Just that? That's not too bad.
Well,
That's chump
I also,
change.
I also fly way before Christmas and
Yeah.
way after, like, after New Year's. So
Fun fact.
try to get them cheap.
Fun fact, listener. Apparently, the best day to travel because Thanksgiving
On Thanksgiving.
on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and that's but like Thanksgiving is the worst
Yeah.
travel.
Last year I flew on Christmas
day.
Eve.
Yeah.
You flew on Christmas Eve?
No, it wasn't Christmas. Wait, was it?
You goddamn.
No, I
liar.
flew home on New Year's Eve.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Is there an answer? Do you have an answer? Did somebody?
No, that was
online
one of my
total it up?
notes. Like
Just,
halfway through the movie. Like I think it was when they got the first rental car.
Yeah.
And I was like, how much have they spent?
I mean, I would guess at least
Like a couple $1,000,
Yeah, maybe a
maybe?
couple thousand.
Between the two of
Hard
them.
to ballpark. Yeah, probably a couple.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to ballpark with 1987 money and
I mean, we
1987
could
prices.
even adjust for inflation. It could be like $5,000.
Could be.
Yeah.
Now in today's money.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
But I was also like just watching it. I was like, when they end up with like no money and they're like kind of like stuck. I was like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and John Candy, like they do that montage of him like selling his rings
Yeah.
as
That was
earrings.
so
I was like,
good.
oh god. Oh, also speaking of his rings, when Steve Martin's in the shower, and he looks up and he sees the curtain rings,
Yeah.
and he's just like nods.
Well, you know what's funny too is I was thinking like that's such a 80s comedy movie job to have. I'm the shower
Salesman.
ring salesman for
Yeah.
this district of the country.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And like, what do? I'm in marketing. You know, like it just
Yeah.
feels like
very
a
80s.
You know, but somebody must have that job.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I mean,
Yeah, that was. I really liked this film a lot.
It was so much fun.
You know,
I kind of want to watch it again.
Yeah,
I mean,
watched it again.
it's great. And I was saying, like, I had high expectations, and they didn't disappoint. Like, it lived up to it. I was like, this is everything I thought it would be.
Yeah,
Which rarely happens in movies, really.
yeah, it's actually better than I thought.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but yeah.
So we're answering our question before we
If it-
even
if
need
it-
to answer the question.
If it holds up. I mean, yeah, I think we kind of knew that it would.
Yeah,
though,
because everyone always says it's great.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
classic, and I mean, classics exist for a reason, right? People love this movie.
Although sometimes I find with the classics that everybody agrees are classics,
Yeah.
they haven't watched them recently.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
You
that's,
know?
That's the whole reason that this podcast exists.
Yeah. But I think this movie does hold up.
It
Oh, yeah,
does.
for
does
sure.
indeed,
Fantastic.
indeed.
It's
Amy. I'm sorry.
No, no.
Are you done?
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to ask if Amy had any more.
I
fun
had one more
facts.
fun fact and a couple recastings.
All right.
So my last fun fact is John Hughes wrote the first draft of the screenplay in 3 days. His average writing time for a screenplay back then was about 3 to 5 days with 20-something rewrites.
Damn.
God
Yeah.
damn.
That's why he wrote so much shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And not it's not shit. It's really great stuff that he
He's
wrote.
extremely
but,
prolific.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's a really good. Whew.
But recastings, I have one. Okay, well I'll just do anyways.
Amy short-circuited.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Her
okay.
brain's
well,
just like.
well, it's like I have a paragraph of a recast and then one like actual recast line. So for Neil, Rick Moranis was considered for the role,
I was thinking about Rick Moranis this
I feel
whole
like
movie,
he
and I
would've
don't know
been-
why.
but like I don't know, Steve
But
Martin
Rick-
just
well, because Steve Martin can play asshole.
yeah.
Really good.
Rick Moranis is just like I really see him either as the dad from Honey I Shrunk the Kids or the
Yeah.
crazy neighbor from Ghostbusters.
Which is funny that you should bring that up because Louis Tully, the crazy neighbor
Mm-hmm.
from Ghostbusters, was actually originally supposed to be John Candy.
Really?
Interesting.
And Candy kept coming up with like ideas, and he was like, "Oh, I'll have a German accent and Doberman pinchers and a monocle," and like, and I think Ivan Reitman was like, "No, man, just play like this dweeb dude," and he kept like wanting to make this character some sort of caricature of something, and he was like, and eventually they got to the point where it's like, I don't think you're quite getting like the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
And so then they went with Rick Moranis.
And he was perfect.
He was great. He was
Yeah.
perfect as Louis Tully.
But this alternate recasting, I kind of would like to see like this alternate universe version. John Hughes originally wanted Tom Hanks for the role of Neil and John Travolta for the role of Dell. But
Oh.
Hanks was unavailable because he was shooting Big, and Paramount executives didn't want Travolta in the movie because he was considered, quote, box office poison at the time.
In 87?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't bounce back
86,
until
87, yeah.
Reservoir Dogs. That was like 92, right?
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction. He wasn't in Reservoir Dogs.
That's right. Pulp Fiction.
No, but I feel like, when was Look Who's Talking? Because he was in that, right?
Yeah, but
And I feel
did
like that was a big movie that did well.
I don't know.
What was John Travolta doing? And he's been box office poison a couple times, and he
That's
comes
true. In
back.
his career, yeah, he does come back.
Because I would have
Look
thought,
Who's Talking was
Like
89.
herpes.
yeah, yeah, he does
Come
that
back.
is a little
But
unexpected.
I don't know. That would have been weird. I mean, one, I don't think Travolta's all that great at comedy, so
I mean, I feel like it would have been an interesting pair. I kind of.
I don't know. And he's also I can't buy him as like
Yeah.
the sweet and sincereness that is John Candy in that role.
Yeah.
No, there's something that's like John Candy always has this sort of teddy bear quality to
Yeah,
him.
it's true. I
Yeah.
mean, it could be like his size, but
Yeah,
also
but
it's
I
just
think it's also-
his personality.
Yeah, and it's also that like that chuckle that he has.
Yeah.
that laughs like to himself, and there's something like so endearing about him. And even
true.
like initially when you meet him, and just like there's something about his mustache. It's just like,
It's
oh,
so
I hate
silly,
you.
yeah.
You know, like
It's because it looks ridiculous.
well, and like you said, like there's this really interesting sort of point of view in the film that you are with Steve Martin and you understand how he's feeling, and he's reacting, I think, pretty much the way anybody would.
True in that situation.
And yet, then you see the effects of that, and then like when you get angry at somebody and
Yeah.
you snap, and you're like, "God, well, now I feel like shit
Yeah,
because
you're
I
just like,
I feel bad. I just shot my mouth off." And so you're with him being angry at John Candy, and then you feel like
and
shit.
then you feel also because you're like,
Yeah.
"Aw," especially in that scene, that first
Especially in that
motel
scene.
night. When
God, yeah.
so good.
And then again in the diner, like
Yeah.
when he leaves, and again it's just like, oh,
Yeah. And then again in as Amy pointed out, when he's like in freezing cold and he's like in the burnt up car, and he's talking to his wife, and he's like, I really ran my mouth this time. Like, you always said I talk too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, you feel for him. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
do you want to give him a hug?
yeah.
No.
Yeah, this is a good movie.
Yeah,
That was really
it's a
good
great
movie. I really liked it. I would absolutely watch it again.
Oh yeah, for this being a last minute choice is
Yeah.
it's very good.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I was wanting without realizing what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good way of describing it.
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. All right.
Cool.
Well, let us know, you guys, what you think of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles I was going to say in the comments down below, but it's not a YouTube video.
In the comments down below, you're too used to your second job or
I'm
your third
also
job.
very, very tired.
Yeah. I
We
mean,
get
that
it.
weird laugh that happened.
That's cut out, by the way. But
Your
you can let
Smiths
us
are-
know on Twitter or Instagram at Nostalgitis, NOSTALGITIS, or on email, nostalgiaeffectpod@gmail.com.
Sweet.
And don't forget to be kind and rewind.
And have a happy Thanksgiving.
Gobble gobble.
Yeah.